let's talk about live today. If you happen to be in a season of waiting, or you just need to feel like you belong, this book is absolutely for you. It is wonderful. I enjoyed every minute of it, and learning from Sadie Robertson through this book was a blessing. So I'm going to share today 3 things that I learned, 2 things that I loved, and then what I'm reading next. So let's just dig right into 3 things that I learned from Sadie Robertson while reading her book, Live. By the way, I'm Anna. Welcome or welcome back, and I help purpose-driven women to live with intention right where they are. I love to share biblical truths and practical tips that will just inspire and help you. One thing that I do talk about is reading and what we put into our minds and how we should be intentional with that. And sometimes when something just leaves you with that icky feeling, just put that one away. You don't have to finish the book. Find books that are uplifting, that are beneficial, that are helpful, that bring you joy, that add value to your life. And this will be one of those books. First thing that I learned was don't waste the waiting time. So many seasons of our life are that waiting season. And Sadie talks about this in here and like what to do while you're waiting. And something that tied into church last week was while you're in the waiting, to work, to pray, to give, and to fast. And I don't have all the scriptures to go with those, but each one of those were scripturally outlined in our church service. And I thought it tied in perfectly to sharing that with you guys. So that's one thing you can do in the waiting. And then another thing is just to remember to be purposeful during the waiting. So I have created a 7-day purpose and discipline challenge for you guys. It's completely free and it's optional, of course, but I'll link it below in case you want to go ahead and do that 7 days of purpose and discipline. And maybe you are in the waiting and you're like, okay, I've got to get my mind off of this. It might be something that you would enjoy. So I'll link that below. The second thing that I learned from Sadie was to be a cheerleader. Now, I never was a cheerleader, but I loved sports. I always was like rooting for the teams and cheering them on that way. And what she meant by this was rooting for each other, like us rooting for one another. So many times we don't root for each other. We're not happy for one another. And her mom actually shares kind of the beginning intro on this, but she's talks about how Sadie works really hard for everything she does. She dedicates herself to it, she practices. And one of the things, when Sadie was in high school, she was always on the cheer team or cheer squad. And one of the seasons she didn't make it, even though she'd worked really, really, really hard to make the team. And her mom talks about her just working hard at everything that she did, like not just shooting 25 free throws, she'd shoot like 100, things like that. She didn't make the squad. And so her mom comes in later. Of course, her mom heart was hurting for her daughter, Sadie. But I can't remember if it was like weeks or months later, but her mom sees Sadie making all of these funny videos and carrying on like in front of the camera, and her mom's like, Sadie, what are you doing? And Sadie said, well, the whole cheer team's going to some sort of competition or camp during the summer. And she said they're nervous, they're kind of anxious. So she said, I'm making a video for them every single day to encourage them, to make them laugh, and to help build them up. And it spoke to the mom, of course, because she's like, there's my daughter who didn't make it, who worked hard to make it. And she's not doing what a lot of people do, which is we get mad, we think it should have been us. Why did they get it and we didn't? You know, and then, but Sadie was cheering them on and she was thinking of them and encouraging them. And I just thought that right there is probably her heart all the time. So it was kind of cool to get to know Sadie through that story as well. But that's something that I learned, is just to be a cheerleader for others while you're in the waiting. Maybe while you didn't get the promotion, or while, you know, your kids are younger and you have 0 free time, but somebody else's kids are older and you're waiting for different things of life. But be a cheerleader to others. And then the third thing I learned was to don't think in terms of likes or dislikes. And I know a lot, when people think of that, they're thinking of, you know, you gave a thumbs up on this video, or you gave a thumbs down, or whatever it is. But we're not really talking about that necessarily, although that plays a part into it. We're talking about just being there to encourage one another, to love one another, and to support one another. So it's kind of like, an example would be, maybe you hear different pastors and you're like, I don't really like that pastor. Well, why are we even thinking that? It's somebody, you don't like their style. So it's somebody who's prepared a word from God all week, and they're presenting the message, and then here we are just doing done or done. So instead of thinking in terms of likes or dislikes, Sadie's teaching us to encourage, love, and support one another, and to just think, man, this person's prepared all week. What is God gonna say through them to me today? And completely just change your mindset about that. So that was the third thing that I learned. Two things that I loved. First of all, I loved getting to know Sadie through this book. I think she seems like a very genuine person. She seems normal, you know, like us, like we're genuine and we're learning and we're growing and we're different people every year even, but it doesn't mean that the core of who we are changes. You know, we're women who are purpose driven. We want to be intentional. We love Jesus. We mess up. Yes, we do. Just like Sadie's talking about. I think we can hear each other's hearts. And I loved getting to know Sadie. The second thing I loved about this book was that she spoke to me and inspired me right where I am. So even with our age gap, even with, you know, her perspective, she really did just speak right to me, and I absolutely loved that. So I just would encourage you, if you can find this was a Goodwill find for me. I got it for $2.99 at the Goodwill. Oh, and if you stick around to the end, I have another find. It wasn't from the Goodwill, it was from the mustard seed that I want to share with you guys. It has nothing to do with books, but I still thought you might want to see it. Okay. The last thing I'm going to share with you guys is what I'm reading next, which is Karen Kingsbury, and it's called Someone Like You. And what's really cool about this, talk about God's timing, I had a friend text me a week or two ago, and she said, hey, are you interested in being in a book club? Would you start a book club? Well, I've never even been in a book club. It's never been the right season of life for me. One of those things where living with intention, I didn't want to take any time away from my family or my kids during that time. There were other things that I would do, but it didn't fit right. I hope that didn't come across wrong. I'm not really sure how to word it, but sometimes you have to be purposeful in what you're choosing to spend your time doing. And that just wasn't one of the things that would fit into different seasons of life, but it is the right season of life for me now. So we are going to try this. So we're starting a book club, and this is actually going to be our first book, because when I was looking at it, in the back, she actually has a, well, I say all that. Oh, here it is. Okay. I'm like, where did it go? Book club, right here. She has book club questions. So we're going to start with this one in our group of 2, which is now 3. And then there's a couple more people who were interested. So it's starting very small, but it's all kind of women just in my season of life where we're working. We have our families, but our families are way more independent now. They're driving themselves everywhere and kind of have their own jobs and their own things. So we're trying to connect during this season. But I am excited about it. So if you're kind of in the same season, maybe reach out to another woman who you think would be interested in doing a book club with you, if you're trying to find a way to be intentional with your time and building connections with other purpose-driven women who love the Lord. Or even if you just want to do it to reach out to other women and kind of build a community and help them to come to know the Lord. I think this is a fantastic idea. So I'm excited about reading this one next. This is going to be our first book club book. And I wanted to show you, completely off topic and nothing to do with reading, but hey, you might want to know anyhow. I got this at the Mustard Seed. It is a cute, you can see like the details on here, but you might recognize that right away. It's longer burger, and it's this, I think it would be perfect for dips, or making your own little individual bowl of soup. And then I have my blog, which I'll link below, where I do lots of recipes and things. So I'm going to use this as a dish for like soup, or I don't know what. I just don't know, but I thought it was beautiful. I liked the cream color. I liked the details of it. Plus it was $6, which I thought was a little bit high for like thrifting, but for Longaberger, it's a really good deal. So there was no complaints, and this baby came home with me yesterday. So don't forget to get your freebie below for your 7-day challenge. Have a great day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.